On the line with me, I have Max Blumenthal, author Max Blumenthal. Max, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, Max. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for joining us. I wanted to have you here today because I wanted to ask you, because you have been to Sarah Palin's church in Wasilla, and I wanted to have you kind of maybe put into context what she meant by blood libel. I've had a couple of people on both sides that said that she's either ignorant or she was trying to be inflammatory. And what's your opinion on that?
Based on my experience at her church, or based on where I think she got it from?
Whatever. Both.
Well, I'll talk about where I think she learned this phrase from, and then I'll talk about what it's like being at her church. I mean, the first person to use this phrase in the context of the Gabrielle Giffords shooting was Andrew Breitbart, who I guess gets away with it because he's Jewish. But then there's also Charles Krauthammer, the Jewish neoconservative columnist at the Washington Post, who called it a libel to suggest that right-wing extreme violent rhetoric had anything to do with creating the psychological tapestry that this killing occurred on. And I'm not sure exactly if Palin got it from them, but she's clearly learning this phrase, which is always being thrown out, generally being thrown out by Jewish neoconservatives to defend against criticism of Israel. And the most prominent person who does it is Alan Dershowitz, the professor of law from Harvard University. He's accused Judge Richard Goldstone, author of the Goldstone report accusing Israel and Hamas of crimes against humanity during Operation Cast Lead, of a blood libel. He's accused Desmond Tutu of a blood libel. And Alan Dershowitz has actually come out today and defended Sarah Palin's use of the term blood libel, which is sort of incomprehensible to me, because this is the first time I've seen anyone use this term to actually defend themselves, and the person defending themselves is not even Jewish. So what I think is that Sarah Palin had seen this term being used in right-wing rhetoric because of the influence of Jewish neocons, because of their presence in the right, and didn't understand that it relates to Jewish victims of pogroms in Eastern Europe, right, in the 19th and 18th century and going back to the Middle Ages.
Well, and it actually is Greek. It's even older than that. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's been around for, longer than really Christianity, the blood libel against the Jewish people. I mean, so for her to say that and just come out with this and say that, people criticizing her was akin to, 2,000 years of this horrible rumor that millions of people have died is just inexcusable. But so you think that she just heard that and it sounded kind of sexy because it had blood in it?
Yeah, I think James Clyburn nailed it when he said she just doesn't have the intellectual capacity to understand what's going on around her, which is why she has insulated herself and cloistered herself in this Facebook, Twitter world, because she can't handle a live engagement with actual critics. She's
right.
just too dunderheaded to do it. But she winds up making one of the biggest gaffes I've heard all year in a prepared video. So it makes me wonder who's writing her speeches, who are her advisors, who's around her. I know in the past, Matthew Scully, who was a former Bush speechwriter, had written Palin's speeches. He wrote her speech at the Republican National Convention in 2008, which was a really good speech, where she came out with the whole hockey mom theme.
Right, that was the bulldog.
I doubt he's involved with her now.
Right, right.
Yeah,
well, she's surrounded by people who think like her and think that she's right. So there's no voices of dissent. So she comes out and does this on the day of the memorial, which I also thought was in horrible taste. Just the timing was off. But
it set up Obama so easily for like the home run.
Yeah, right. The comparison. Yeah, I want to change gears because I only have you for a couple more minutes. But this Saturday, the shooting. Of course, one of the victims was Chief Judge John John Roll.
Judge
John Roll.
Right.
And you had actually testified in front of him, and I wanted to just quickly, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, and this really helps explain the violent climate in Arizona.
In Arizona, absolutely.
I have been covering the crisis on the border in Arizona since 2003, and the rise of the Minutemen, the anti-immigrant vigilante movement. And I interviewed one of the poster children of the anti-immigrant movement, who is a part-time rancher and businessman from Sierra Vista, a rural town in Arizona, named Roger Barnett, who claimed to have personally detained over 12,000 migrants crossing his ranch at gunpoint. And I had known from various sources that he was also assaulting migrants who would find along the roadsides at night just for his own pleasure. He's sort of the kind of thug you'd meet in the Jim Crow South, who would like take some freedom riders and bury them in a swamp. That's what this guy reminded me of. He had been successfully sued in 2006 for $100,000 for assaulting at gunpoint a family of Mexican Americans, American citizens who were hunting near his land, and he just did this for fun. Then in 2009, he was sued again for detaining a group of migrants, kicking a small woman in the shoulder and threatening to kill them, and sort of taunting them with his attack dogs. And Judge Roll certified this case, this lawsuit, and became the subject of hundreds and hundreds of death threats against himself and his family. And he was living under protective guard when I was called to testify before the court about Roger Barnett's boast to me of taking migrants hostage and all the things he said to me that were incriminating. And, I thought, from what I could tell, Judge Roll, he's a conservative Republican, but he presided over the case fairly. He gave these migrants, who are the most scapegoated, faceless, defenseless people in Arizona, they're blamed for everything, this entire economic crisis, the Republican legislature,
and headless bodies and everything, and
everything
the
that Jan Brewer said.
Right.
And Judge Roll just based his certification of the trial on the rule of law, and in the end, the jury delivered some measure of justice and made Roger Barnett pay $75,000 to these people he had terrorized. And the next time I saw Judge Roll was on TV when he was listed among the dead, which was really upsetting and shocking for me. It really summed up everything that's wrong with Arizona, and how Arizona is sort of becoming a laboratory for everything that's wrong with this country.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking that he was not the target of this. Like, the shooter didn't know that he was going to be there. Nobody knew that he was going to be there. He was just there to participate and say hi. And he ended up, all the threats against him, from that trial kind of came to fruition later. It's really upsetting, but very illuminating. And thank you so much for coming in and sharing the story with us. And that's Max Blumenthal. Check out he wrote an entire article about this. It's up on Huffington Post. I read it. It's good stuff. Max Blumenthal, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Go to my blog also, maxblumenthal.com.
maxblumenthal.com.
Hopefully there won't be more stories like this.
Yeah, right.